I think that got a few pieces of our furniture to assemble and to put together. And as I was unboxing it and having to throw out all the styrofoam, and it was really quite disgusting. Like I was offended by the amount of styrofoam I had to break up and all these sheets of styrofoam that I know it's just going into landfill, and it was just a horror.
Over the past 6 years, we've helped more than 500 companies reduce their plastic footprint in this world. Today's guest went beyond. He actually eliminated a lot of packaging and a lot of plastic from their products. Our guest today is Yoram Weinreich. He's the founder of the online furniture company Simpli Home. They sell around 400,000 pieces of furniture a year, so quite a sizable scale. And it's fascinating to see what this partnership did to his company. So this episode today is for you if you're a founder or a business leader in a D2C company that just tries to be a bit better in this world and to this world. We also give you a bit of the behind the scenes into Yoram's brain, how he thinks about sustainability and what it does to his business and why he thinks it's important. So without further ado, this is Life in Plastic with your host, Joel Tasche, and Yoram Weinreich from Simpli Home. Hi, Yoram. It's a pleasure to have you today.
Nice being here, Joel.
Yeah. We want to talk about your success in reducing plastic within your own operations. So maybe you can give us a bit of background on Simpli Home, what you do and where you had plastic in the first place.
We are an online furniture company. We sell hundreds of thousands of pieces of furniture a year in the United States, primarily in the United States. We manufacture in India, in Vietnam, in Malaysia, and still somewhat in China. And we use the plastic that we use is in packaging, largely in packaging.
Yeah. So the furniture itself is not made from plastic?
A little bit, not very much.
No.
Mostly it's wood or there is like fabrics made. We try to put in some recycled plastic in the fabric as well.
And then in 2021, we started working together. What was that initial push that made you say, let's do this?
We had a lot of plastic and we wanted to become more environmental in our approach. And at that time, we were not able to take the plastic packaging out of our packaging, the plastic out of the packaging, honeycomb. The alternatives were very expensive and not affordable in a competitive environment. And so we did a search to find, I don't really remember if we did a search or something came into my inbox. I don't really remember. I might have been talking and my phone was listening and fed me an ad. But I came upon your company and and then we started to eliminate try to at least compensate for the impact that we had.
Yeah. And it's been a very successful journey so far. And at some point, someone on my team pointed out to me, hey, Simpli Home actually reduced their plastic quite substantially. I'd like to go through your process. Like, I want to understand how you did that. If you set up teams internally, maybe even as a blueprint for other organizations that are going on the same journey, that want to reduce plastic. Like, first of all, might be a very simple question, but why did you decide to reduce plastic in the first place?
Beyond working with Clean Hub, I think that I got a few pieces of our furniture to assemble and to put together and had all the styrofoam packaging there as I was undoing it, as I was unboxing it and having to throw out all the styrofoam. And it was really quite disgusting. Like I was offended by the amount of styrofoam I had to break up and all these sheets of styrofoam that I know it's just going into landfill. And it was just a horror. I just got, this is just terrible. This is just a horrible thing. And at that time, so I just was disgusted, really, honestly. It's Anybody who uses styrofoam in their packaging, stop. It's a really horrible thing. And and at that time, I think in COVID, we really took initiative. First of all, because demand was so strong, and we said, okay, it does cost a little bit more. The alternative we use is a product called honeycomb cardboard, which also has everything has an environmental footprint, but it has a much lesser environmental footprint. I think there's another one which is mushroom styrofoam. I'm sure there's other alternatives, and so we made a decision, and it cost us, I don't know, a little bit. But we said, okay, we can. It's worth it. It's the right thing to do. And at the end of the day, especially in entrepreneurial business, you don't need large reports and large that. You want to try to negotiate with your factories and try to indicate what the importance is, and you make a decision. And that's basically it. And so today, that's what we have other environmental things that we're trying to do as well. And so we made a decision, and it took us a year, and we transitioned that. We have a little bit of plastic, but we try to eliminate. There's certain wrapping of the
Mm.
furniture which we can't replace at this point. But we've
What,
taken our footprint down quite a bit. Yeah.
why did it take a year then in the end? Because just now you said it's been a decision that had to be made, and then
It took a year because it takes a. I don't know if it took a year, maybe it took less, but we made a decision, and until everything, we have inventory, so the inventory has to go through, and then the different factories had different cadence. I think until we replaced all our inventory, what I mean to say, all the inventory here took a year to revive into just honeycomb. So
mm.
today, we probably still have some older inventory, unfortunately, that we haven't sold through, but largely, all the products is you get it in with honeycomb, and I feel I've gotten some products recently, and I felt way better in terms of the packaging, and it's available and it's easy, and we should do that. Yeah.
So basically it started with you trying your own dog food, as people say, as kind of realizing there's a customer experience here that doesn't sit quite well. You end up with a lot of waste when you actually just want to enjoy new furniture. And how did these conversations go? Like, did you just say to your team, "Hey, guys, make sure that this ends," and they called up the producers and the producer said, "We have something available"? Or did you have to do some market research and understand what other packaging methods are out there to reduce that?
First of all, the decision it's between, again, we're an entrepreneurial company, so I have a partner, my brother. We were in alignment in terms of trying to reduce our footprint and the impact of plastic in as much as we could in the ecosystem. Again, initially the impetus was, okay, we can't afford it, so we'll use Clean Hub to feel good about ourselves, and mitigate, clean up what we're dumping into the environment or equivalent. And eventually it became, okay, but the real goal is to become plastic free as much as, again, as or minimal plastic as we can. There's no, it's not something that you have to invest. It's not something that you have to have a study to figure out how to do the right thing. You have to make a decision that if it's good, that you'll try to mitigate the cost of doing the right thing, but that it's something that as a company, it's something as a company and as a human being, we that you want to do. And then we just told everybody, okay, go to the factories, get a requotes, and execute.
So the factories already had that solution ready for you?
The the availability. I mean, I did take a look and see, what options are there, and really it became clear that mushroom styrofoam was not readily available. It was this fringe technology where honeycomb is readily available everywhere, or at that stage. Maybe it was. I don't know how fast it was expanding its scope, but I think today it's readily available. I don't think there's a problem in any country, any manufacturing country, to get the honeycomb. And so it was a matter of going to the factories. You also have to do testing because you repackage. There is a process involved because you have to do, we're online companies, so you have to do the impact testing and things like that. So there is a process involved, and you have to get quotes, and the factories are changing, and it's a process.
Understood. And just for reference, how big is your company? You can use whatever proxy you feel comfortable sharing.
We do 400,000 pieces of furniture a year.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's a lot of homes.
That's a lot of homes, yeah.
Your products go into. That's fantastic. So it sounds rather simple, the process. It doesn't sound like you need to go to university to make that call. And that your suppliers were readily available to help, which is fantastic because I think sometimes those are the best solutions. And, a recurring point of criticism when it comes to compensating externalities, be it carbon, be it plastic, whatever, is that in the end, people are using this as a sale of indulgence. They feel bad about something, buy the compensation, and then say, okay, that's it. It sounds like you started almost that way, but then also realized, hey, I think that's not enough. Do you think this has anything to do with the fact that you actually saw through these annual reportings how much plastic you use, that this is something that you want to dig deeper into?
I
What
don't
was the
think
chain
that
of
I
events?
had an idea of really how much plastic we did once we started working together. I think that the criticism of greenwashing, I honestly really, there is an element in it, but it's not really true. Because if there is an issue of plastic in the world, in the rivers and in oceans and in land, and you can see rivers that are clogged in especially in the developing world with plastics, and how in 70 years this became this, or 70, I think, 1950s, became this massive, massive, massive issue. So if there weren't people feeling the need to compensate for the plastic they're putting into the world by investing in companies like yours to at least start mitigating and start working on how to reduce or at least compensate for the plastic, so it's neutral, then that would be a worse thing. So at least there are enough companies out there that will say, okay, the most that I can do right now is to compensate. And again, whether it's tree planting for carbon or whatever, it's all a good thing. The real thing is to realize, okay, plastic has a place. Plastic is a good thing. Plastic can be a good thing. Plastic has been very important for the development of the planet. Single-use plastic, the way that we've done it is more, I just heard just to go on a little bit of an aside, I don't know, you can edit this if you want, but there's a podcast called Acquired, which is great. You know it? So there's one about Coca-Cola. This is the one about Coca-Cola, if you've heard it. And they talked about the invention of the 64-ounce bottle of Pepsi. Pepsi was the innovator, and how DuPont in the 1950s came up with this bottle, because up till then everything was plastic, everything was glass and cans, and that it was a great thing for Pepsi, created a big strategic advantage, but it gave birth to, which was probably inevitable, to this rise of single-use plastic, which is now, we got away with it for 70 years. I don't think we're going to get away with it another 70 years. We have to be in balance, and we have to recognize that we live in an atmosphere, water, land, air, that whatever we crap into, that we will consume. So whether it's microplastics in our brains, in our bodies, that is definitely something that it's imperative that we take care of ourselves. At the end of the day, it's taking care of ourselves.
It makes sense, right? In the end, it all comes back to us.
To be crude, you can't shit in water and drink it.
That's true. I mean, you can, but it's disgusting.
It's not healthy. So I mean, if we look at, you see a bottle floating in a river, or but and the conversation about don't drink water, don't drink beverages out of plastic bottles because of the microplastics that are floating. The reality is it is a as living creatures, it we have to understand that we live in an environment in which we defecate. and
No.
and I remember, there is a word for God in Hebrew, said hamakom, the place. So for me, and the concept of I'm not religious, but the concept of a monotheistic God that has no shape or form, that is all of creation, means that we're all connected, and that we are all, whether it's to the rock or to you or to the ocean or to each other, to everything. So that means, if the impact of you harming something outside of yourself, or not respecting or not being aware of that, the impact of what you do on the outside impacts you directly.
Mm.
And I think that's true in life. I mean, if you're an asshole,
Mm.
it does affect you. But in terms of behaving, how you treat the environment, if you treat the environment badly, eventually the environment will kill you,
That's true. Almost,
right?
almost nothing to add there. I'm just wondering in general how you, as an individual, I mean, now I learned how you think about these topics, but also how do you bring this in business context? Because if I go into your sustainability section, I can see that you're doing a lot more than just the plastic collection. How do you balance this out um, from an economical perspective? I might go into a bit of a rabbit hole here, but when we get confronted by media, for example, for the programs that we do with cleanup, it's like, yeah, in the end, you're helping company, or if they want to be mean, they say you're helping companies greenwash so they can make more profit. Is that true? Do you see any kind of return? Because to me, it feels like this is not your primary incentive to go down that route.
I think that there's obviously a marketing benefit by saying that you're environmental. I've never done a study to see the economic impact and the return on investment in doing whatever, whether it's doing the honeycomb, or planting trees, or working with Clean Hub, or collecting plastic. It's a cool thing to have on my website. I like it just as a person. Do customers, if my product is $99.99 and somebody else is $89.99, will they buy my 99? Will they pay for it? Maybe some generation alphas, but they have no money anyway. Maybe some Gen Zs. I don't know, but there is some people who do, who will make a buying decision based influenced by it. I don't know what the data is in terms of that. For us personally, it was just something we thought we should be doing, and again, it's something that where we use it. I mean, we're in business. We use it. We announce it. We celebrate it. We do it for two reasons. Number one is for marketing, and try to say, okay, well, we still have to be competitive. I can't be not competitive. So I can't charge more for it. Um, but if and when we started and we were only collecting plastics or green up or even planting trees, I think for all the critics is saying, okay, so what is your option? The zero? Would you not rather not have companies investing in plastic collection or reforestation or anything else to then have companies not give a shit? And I think that, the answer is that that's fine. And that's good. And it mitigates a bunch of the impact that that our consumer society, because it's not the companies, it's consumer society and disposable society has on the planet, because we have to get in balance. And if this is stage one, great.
Yeah, and I mean we can see where things go, right? You start with such a partnership, you continue the thinking internally, you are becoming aware and maybe more aware of a topic and can then therefore also act on it. So I agree, because in Europe a lot of this is currently being rolled back, and sometimes I'm quite sad about it. We now have a certified system, so we can continue making these claims at cleanup, but for me, this entire conversation around compensation was to agree as a consumer. I didn't like it because I like going into the store and say, okay, if I want to buy a product, if I'm thirsty and I want to drink water, I'd rather buy from the company that does something. If it's carbon neutral or just a little bit, I'd rather choose them over somebody that's not doing something. And I'm not going to go on their website and first check like what is it exactly that they're doing. I want to have a label on the bottle that I can trust, that I can base my purchase decision on if I'm consuming, right? And I think this is being taken away, and I'm not sure if this entire conversation around claims is going in the right direction. But yeah, it's interesting to see how you think about it and also how you acted as a business on that.
I
So
think going back to our conversation of what's happening in the political systems in the world, and the idea of I'll be careful politically, but the idea of it's purity. It's almost purity tests. And the period where things started in the right, the heart was in the right place. Let's do something. Let's encourage ways of thinking to move in a certain direction, to be aware of the environment. When I grew up without seatbelts in cars and throwing stuff out the window of my car. You finished the thing, you threw it in on the road. Why not? If you had toxic chemicals, you dumped it on the ground. I mean, there was no impact. So to come to, we're at a different stage now. So to go and say that everything's cynical and that humanity, and that it's not pure enough because these people have to be pure and have to follow exactly the party line of what that means. And that means eliminating this. I mean, it's naive. It's wrong. In my view, it's wrong. And it's kowtowing to a segment of society which is really, it's all or nothing. It's black or white, and it's not. It's gray, and we're on and on one hand we have economies to support and livelihoods to support. On the other hand, we have our lives, and I think that again, I express my carbon, the carbon, the plastic, whatever. It's all positive. Why not reward it, and why not encourage it, and why not subsidize adoption? Help transition to post plastic as much
no,
as possible, because we will never be without plastic. The question is, what do we do with single use plastic? And the single use plastic is the issue. And how do we, on the other hand, if we can't go to glass because we're running out of sand, right?
and the energy it takes to melt down sand compared to making plastic is insane. Like most of glass products have a higher carbon footprint than plastic products.
Wow.
So
Wow. So, I mean, everywhere we go, it's just the population. So eventually the world will be in probably towards the end of your life, maybe not in my life, but definitely your children's life, the world will be according to what all the data is, the world is going to depopulate.
No.
And we will be peaking at 8 or 9 billion, going back down to 3, which will be very difficult, very painful, very, at the end of the day, we'll be more in balance maybe, but there's no doubt about it. I was born, there was 2 billion people on the planet. Today there's 8, one life. There's never been a period like this in the history of the world of population explosion to such an extent. So obviously we have this massive impact, no matter what we do, whether it's glass, whether it's honeycomb, whether it's plastic, whatever we do has this giant impact on the planet because we're just too many. We're too much. So,
No. Or we need to learn to really live in a circular economy, right, where you can reuse these things. And I like your philosophy around that a lot, because one of the things that I quote most is from Yvon Chouinard from Patagonia. And he said in an interview, we can't delude ourselves into the fact that anything is sustainable. Everything man does creates more harm than good. And for me, this is one of the most liberating statements I've ever read in an interview that is connected to the broader topic of quote unquote sustainability, because it gives you agency to act, right? You can say, so, okay, if doing no harm is anyway out of the picture, like this purity ideal, this nirvana does not exist, then I can start focusing on doing as little harm as possible and try to reduce it and reduce it and reduce it. And that gives power back to me, because now it becomes more achievable. And this is really the beauty. And this is what I also read from your words and also from your actions primarily, right? How you lead Simpli Home and what you do on a day-to-day basis to optimize. That's very, very impressive.
Thank you. Listen, you can only, as you said, and it's very interesting that we do more harm than good, but we do more harm not to the planet, it's to ourselves. The impact is on us. The planet doesn't care. Global warming, planet's fine. It'll wipe us out. Planet's fine. Microplastics in the water, planet, it hurts fish and whatever, but everything will adjust. At the end of the day, it's harm to ourselves. I mean, that's the issue. We have to live a balanced life, or cancers will go up, or whatever. The only issue is also people have to eat, and people have to do this, and we have to live, and we have to know where we are. So it's 70 years of these plastics. In another 70 years, I don't think that they will be here. I think we will have a different thing because we have to. There's no choice. It'll kill us, right? But as you said, it's harm, it's impact. With 8 billion people on the planet, whatever we do, if we said, okay, we don't want we have too many cattle on the planet, their farts are creating too much methane, it's too much warming, it's bad for our health, whatever, and we all go to eating carrots, it's going to have a massive impact on ecology. You can't. So to say it sounds nice, we'll just eat carrots, we won't hurt anything. Yeah, but no. Like everything, we're just too many people demanding too much stuff. This sweater has an impact. These headphones are plastic.
Yeah.
You don't have a choice. We're running concrete. We're running out of sand. Sand is a limited resource. Everything.
There's sand mafias in the world. There's a fantastic book on it called Material World. I can highly recommend it.
Which is about what? Sorry.
It's about the core commodities that make up human history. So it's around energy, so oil, but also it goes back into the history of wood and deforestation for energy use. Then it's sand, or more silicon, basically.
Sure.
Because the chips in our computer, there's so much energy that went into producing these chips. Then we have oil also for plastics, right? But copper, massive impact on the world. The electrification is taking its toll on the environment. And this is exactly the tough part, and where I find it so interesting to speak specifically to entrepreneurs, because entrepreneurship means high agency. You're calling the shots. It's your baby, and you can change the direction of how your business operates, right? And I think making these decisions isn't very easy, because it's such a chaotic world. It's like, okay, now I'm phasing out styrofoam and introducing honeycomb. Where's the wood coming from that produces the paper and all that, right? So there's always a rat's tail. And this is why I find it so interesting to understand the way how you think about these topics. And yeah, hopefully also inspire more people to just call the suppliers and say, it's like, guys, what can we do? We're using something here that is not a good customer experience, because I think no consumer in the world ever opened up something and said, my God, am I happy about my packaging waste that I have here? It's hurting the planet. It's hurting ourselves. So, yeah, very impressed by the way how you took this and how you drove it down. So
Thank you. Thank you.
thank you so much for sharing this with me
Well, I'm
today.
also very impressed on what you guys are doing
Thank you very
and
much.
that effort. It's a real. It takes unique people to take initiatives. And again, going back to the what sounds like things that are happening here, whatever. It's so wrongheaded and mistaken because doing something is better than talking a great talk that's not feasible.
Yeah.
And so,
I think one of those entrepreneurial wisdoms is not taking a decision is the biggest risk to your business. And
100%.
sometimes you might have to go into the wrong alley for 5 meters and then turn around and course correct. So
Made a lot of mistakes in my life.
I can imagine starting with throwing toxic waste on the ground, but you were
It
not
was the
aware.
60s. Nobody in the 60s. Listen, we used to have this.
Just kidding.
So there, do you know? So we had a cottage, and my uncle had what was called a fog. There were mosquitoes, a lot of mosquitoes, a lot of bugs, and my uncle had a fogger, and he would be this big kind of gun machine. It would fog in the cottages and fog on the thing, and we would, as kids, run and jump through it, and it was clouds, and it was fun. The only problem was DDT. So those were the 60s. We didn't know anything. I handled in my father's company, had a lumber company, had vinyl asbestos floor tile. And vinyl. So what did we didn't know anything.
Yeah.
So the good old days.
Yeah. I'm happy that we live in different days today,
Yes.
even though not everything is easy. But I think
Yes.
progress is constant. You're part
Yes,
of it.
yes,
Thank you so
yes.
much, Yoram, for your trust and for sharing your story today.
Thanks, Joel. Nice talking to you.
Likewise.